of the 2025 Heisman Trophy is? Fernando Mendoza.
Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Chuck Conrad with a kickoff. Roy has a strong leg, end over end. Sanders takes it 1 yard deep to the end zone. Up the middle of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. He's at the 40. He's at 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 45, 40, 50, 10, 5, touchdown. Outside. Just like last year, the same story. Roll out.
Here's your host, Chris Houston.
Welcome back to the Heisman Trophy podcast. This is our final episode of the season. 2025 has come and gone, and we have our Heisman Trophy winner, and it is Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. The junior from Miami totaled 2,362 points in the vote, beating out Diego Pavia of Vanderbilt, who had 1,435 points. Mendoza appeared on 95% of ballots returned, and I would say his margin of victory was greater than was expected going in. A distant third was Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, who had 719 points, and even more distant fourth, Julian Sayin of Ohio State, 432 points. Rounding out the top 10 was Jacob Rodriguez of Texas Tech, the linebacker, Jeremiah Smith at number 6, Ohio State, a wide receiver. Of course, he was on the show earlier in the season. Number 7, Gunnar Stockton of Georgia, quarterback. Number 8, Trinidad Chambliss of Mississippi, quarterback. Number 9, Caleb Downs of Ohio State, a safety. And number 10, Haynes King, Georgia Tech, quarterback and alumni of the Heisman Trophy podcast. This could be somewhat of a watershed result in that you had in the top 2 spots a quarterback from Indiana and a quarterback from Vanderbilt. And those 2 players beat out a running back from Notre Dame and a quarterback from Ohio State. And of course, this tracks very closely with what's going on in college football at large. Indeed, if you had gone into a coma maybe a decade ago and woke up today, you would probably think the world had turned upside down. But that's not a bad thing in this case. In fact, I think it's great. And the excitement I saw around the internet and social media of Indiana fans reacting, his teammates going crazy, it reminded me a lot of when Robert Griffin III won the Heisman for Baylor back in 2011. And I think it's great that for the first time, fans of a team from a university that doesn't typically win very much has a seat at the table. Now, I've been a frequent critic of the chaotic manner in which college football has undergone all these changes in recent seasons. It feels like to me that there's not a lot of direction. It's not very coherent. And it's caused me to worry a lot about the future of the sport, because I think a lot of the traditions that the sport is known for are starting to be diluted or fade away a bit. And I think one of the great things about the Heisman Trophy is that it is kind of the keeper of the flame when it comes to college football's heritage and tradition. Not only is the history of the trophy inextricably linked with the history of the sport, the trophy's focus on integrity harkens back to the amateur ideal which attracted us all to college football in the first place. And then you come to the enigma that is Fernando Mendoza. He's a transfer athlete, the 4th straight transfer and 7th out of the last 9 to win the Heisman Trophy. Mendoza is very much a modern college football athlete. He's got NIL deals, he's got an agent, but those things don't seem to matter as much to Mendoza as his idealism over things like teamwork and brotherhood. This is an outstanding student athlete, someone who's intellectually curious. He's already graduated with a degree from Cal Berkeley. Fernando Mendoza is someone who decided to maximize his college football experience. He has succeeded both as a student and as an athlete. If you are someone who wants to play college football, why would you not want to use Fernando Mendoza as a model for what to do? He is justly compensated for his labor and his talents. He gets to experience the ultimate rush of competing against the best in the sport and winning. And along the way, he tries to better himself by delving into ideas and concepts that maybe he wasn't familiar with before. I mean, to me, it's about living life to the fullest. I think Fernando Mendoza tries to do that, and I think that's something we should all aspire to do. And Mendoza has made the most not only of his talents, but also of his mind. And talking to him a few times and hearing him speak at the press conferences at Heisman weekend, you kind of forget just how good of an athlete he really is. He passed for 2,980 yards and a nation-leading 33 touchdown passes. Also rushed for another 240 yards and 6 scores. Showed a lot of athleticism. Back over the summer when I was looking over the Big Ten quarterbacks and trying to rank them in my mind, I noticed that Mendoza's athleticism really jumped off the screen in the highlight tapes. And I wrote next to his name, gonna have a huge year.
What's up? This is Fernando Mendoza, 2025 Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the Heisman Podcast.
All right, we are here with 2025 Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, Indiana University. Welcome to the Heisman fraternity. How does it feel?
It feels unreal to be a part of such a prestigious fraternity, one of what I believe is the most prestigious fraternity in all of sports. It is such an honor to know I just made all these new brothers last night, and not only I'm gonna have the opportunity to come back to New York after my pro career is done and come back and shed light and also meet the future Heisman Trophy winners. It's a trophy and a name. I can't thank the trust, the voters, and the legends enough, but it's a name that I'm always gonna keep with the utmost responsibility, gratitude, and just overall enjoyment of it, to represent the Heisman Trophy in the name that everybody wants it to be.
Awesome. What did you end up doing last night after you won the trophy?
Yeah, so it was a pleasant surprise. I knew some of my teammates were coming, but around 12 of them came, and I really
I didn't hear
them.
them. I didn't hear them at all. I think they were.
No, they weren't in the ceremony.
Oh, they were.
Oh no, they were not.
Oh,
I was trying to get them in. I mean,
okay,
shout out to Diego. I don't know what strings he pulled, because I was like, I need to get people in, and they're like only immediate family. Like I was trying to get my grandparents. It was like a whole hassle, but yeah, they came, and those guys, they didn't have it arranged for them. They came on their own dime.
Wow.
So I think it really speaks a lot to the brotherhood and then the glue and the connection that we have in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I went to the press conference, got to see all of them, and we all were out in Times Square, holding the trophy.
Yeah.
And we had like a family and friends after party
Nice.
at a rooftop right there to be able to, take pictures, hang out, have a good time. And it was just great, being able to have that trophy, bring it to the after party, and really share it with everybody who deserves a trophy.
Right.
It's not myself. It's everybody there.
Right.
It's those teammates who came out on their own dime. It's my friends and family that have been supporting me, not only coming out for the New York weekend, but also the friends and family that were supporting me when I was a backup in middle school and a backup in high school and still coming to the games.
Right. That's awesome. I think one of the things that resonates with people about an award like this is that they kind of imagine themselves what it would feel like to be in that situation, because it's an amazing situation to be, coronated, on live television like that. How would you describe to someone if someone was like, and not just how did it feel though, but like what was the sensation like of like it dawning on you that your life is really changing even more so than it had already?
It felt like I leveled up a little bit. It was like a video game, and I just beat, a really hard level. And now I'm on this level. However, I see that to carry this name, you got to work even harder. You got to even go even farther in life, whether it's football, whether it's charitable foundations, whether it's just being a good person and good character itself. There are so many things that the Heisman name represents. Especially when we have to get to this level, it can be pretty easy. Human nature to be complacent.
Yeah.
However, at this point, I feel like it's my duty to give it my all, so that I, in the college football playoffs, and they're like Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
That I live up to that standard.
Yeah.
Whether it's off the field, character wise, like people like Tim Tebow, Mr. Warfel, like all these guys have all these amazing things about them. And so I'm just really trying to live up to that and push myself to be the best and one of them one day.
Everyone's looking at you now.
Yeah.
I mean, they were looking at you before, but now they're really looking at you. Do you feel that? Do you feel that when you're walking through the crowd? Do you feel that the public glare? Yeah.
Last night, I would say I felt the public glare, but I would only say it because my teammates were chanting my name and creating a scene. So I think anybody in New York with security would be like, "Oh, who's that?" and
That was
stuff like that.
fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. It was a treat. However, honestly, I don't really feel a public glare. I'm not on social media. Nowadays, a lot of things are digitalized. So you can feel a lot of pressure, or meaning like a lot of followers, a lot of, support, a lot of hate, and all the different mixed emotions that social media brings nowadays. But I would say in public, Bloomington's a small town. The fans are great. So it's been consistent throughout the season. Before we played, hey, good luck this season. And yes, there has been, more pictures, not only for myself, but also my teammates. there's crazy stories of fan
Yeah.
interactions my teammates have as well.
I can imagine.
However, it's an honor and blessing, and this pressure, it's a privilege.
Yeah. Did you meet anybody out who was out at a somebody who's famous or somebody who came over? I imagine you held court all night, so
Yeah.
people were coming over, said, "Hey, how you doing?" Did you meet anybody interesting?
I had a lot of interesting friends and family
Yeah.
come. I mean, just from everybody,
Yeah.
people from my journey in middle school,
Mhm.
people from my journey over there at Cal Berkeley. Former Cal Berkeley quarterbacks came, like four, including myself, four of us.
Yeah.
It was, high school coaches.
Yeah.
It was people from Indiana University.
Yeah.
It was all these, it was basically, it's like a crossover episode. So
Right.
many people in my
Right.
life, and they're all here. I'm like, oh, meet him. You know what I mean? That's one of my best friends. You're one of my
Yeah.
best friends. You guys never really met in person before.
Yeah.
And so it was like an insane crossover episode. Plus to have the Heisman Trophy there too. It was, I can't even. I'm about to word vomit. I can't even explain it.
You really nailed the speech. I think people are going to remember that speech for a long time. There's been some great speeches in Heisman history. We had some old soldiers who gave speeches about World War II, and we have John Capoletti. his
Penn State,
Yeah,
about his brother, and that
brother
really
Joe.
resonated me. And I did research on his speech.
Yeah.
And really give my hat off to him. And that was one of the speeches that I researched.
Yeah, I really like the part where you sent the message out to people out there who need someone to look up to have hope. And was there someone who, when you were little, or outside of family, but like
Yeah.
who you saw as an example and like, man, if that person can do it, I can do it.
I think as a young athlete, you always hear that message.
Mhm.
However, someone that I heard, and it wasn't when I was little, it was when I was in high school, I heard Devontae Smith, former Heisman winner, who I would love to meet someday. Look forward to that opportunity. At the end of his speech, he gave a similar little sentiment where, hey, everyone's told me that I'm too small, I'm too raw of a prospect. You can do anything you put your mind to. Let me be the example. And so now I feel like it's my duty and my honor to carry that, because I'm sure that Devontae Smith got that, kind of quota,
Mhm.
an idea from somebody else, whether it's a Heisman Trophy winner or an athlete that he idolized before then, or just a great speaker or great character that he idolized before then. I feel like it's my duty and my honor to pass it on.
Right.
I got it from Devontae Smith, to watch his speech, love his speech, and at the end it really resonated with myself. I was like, hey, let's keep this ball rolling. I don't want to take the credit for it. I'm gonna keep the ball rolling. I'm gonna give it a little extra push.
Got it.
Right there.
When I first met you in person on Friday morning, I said,
Yeah.
I said you're about to go through a gauntlet.
You did.
What was was there a part where you were like, man, this is I'm getting tired of answering the same question? Is the discipline that needed to maintain? Because you get some weird questions out there, and
Yeah.
I remember one in particular was pretty kind of weird, but and you have to maintain the seriousness. You have to have a poker face about these kind of questions. Cool to do, or
The interviews and the gauntlet, I think I see it as an opportunity and privilege. I see the opportunity to represent Indiana, represent my family's brand, represent my teammates. And I think it's just such a good platform to have. And I think it's my duty whenever I'm on these platforms, like we've talked about before, talk about my faith, to talk about, how faith has inspired me and helped me
Mhm.
to spread awareness on that, spread awareness on, my family, and then also the fight and battle against MS.
Right.
And then also to praise my teammates, coaches, and all those that have supported me. So I really think the interviews is great. Am I going to lie to you completely? No. The signing was
How's
I
your
can
hand
get a
feel?
lot. My hand's a little banged up. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see it, because it's a lot
It
better.
was already banged up before.
Yeah,
right?
so a lot better. And so just the signing, my wrist definitely got maybe a little tired. However, at the end of the day, after I'm signing, I'm like, wow, this is so cool, because it goes back to the Heisman trust and their values.
Yeah.
We're signing these 200-ish balls,
Yeah.
so that each of the Heisman winners who attend the event can take home with them 10 each, and they give out to charitable causes.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Gino Toretta and I were joking. We're like, hey, we can split the Miami causes, because he's
Right.
saying that everyone pulls them in like 50 different directions.
Mhm.
Say, I want the balls. I want these balls. Like, kind of like,
Yeah.
for charitable causes.
Sure.
And now we could split it. And he's also been a great one to talk to, and, kind of take a little bit of a mentoree role this weekend.
Good motivation to change your signature just to like FM or something.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do with this Heisman? You're gonna put it on, give it to your mom, give it to on the mantelpiece, keep it at the school, and pass it around like Stanley Cup. What's the goal? What are you gonna do?
So I didn't realize that there was two. I thought it was
Mm.
just one. I didn't realize the school and the player got one. So that kind of changed everything. However, tonight, look forward to, they said we could take it on the plane. Pretty sure. Who knows? Look forward to taking the plane, having Bloomington, pass it around, take it to practice tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just let, everybody touch it, take pictures with it.
Mhm.
It's like the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And then, as the season ends and I go back to Miami, we'll probably for like after the end of season, like for like a little like Christmas vacation or whatever it is, then I'll most likely just bring it home with myself, and I guess keep it as a souvenir right by my right in my living room, so my parents and everyone whoever comes over could see it, the trophy.
Yeah.
But I think for the time being, gonna pass around like the Stanley Cup trophy, and I think it's a good. We don't want to get complacent on this, and that's why I'm gonna bring it around Monday because Cristianetti says Monday, boom, that's the last day we're gonna join this, and Tuesday we're on.
Well, he said Tuesday, and then you guys said Monday.
Oh well, looks
That's
like
right.
then
You told him.
it looks like it's gonna be Monday before practice.
That's
So I mean that was Captain Coogan, and he's a man for a reason. Yeah, but I think it's the trophies meant as a little confidence boost, a little motivation boost to, hey, in the NFL football scene, people know what we got, but hey, we still need to be humble and hungry to accomplish our goals.
Yeah. Did you, when you woke up in the morning, did you, when you saw the trophy there? I mean,
Actually, the trophy was not in my room.
Oh, okay.
I took it to the family after party and friends,
Yeah.
and then it ended up getting departed at 11:30, which is nice because I want that trophy to be safe. Yeah, who knows? I love my family and love my friends. However, have some some crazy people on those who are extremely enthusiastic, and who knows? I mean, it could have ended up right there next to an Elmo or Santa Claus on Times Square.
Fernando Mendoza, congratulations once again on a fine season, a great accomplishment. Getting through the weekend with class, dignity, representing not only your school, your family, but also now the Heisman Trophy. You're going to be a great Heisman Trophy winner. We look forward to seeing you develop. And good luck against Oklahoma or Alabama.
Thank you so much. God bless. Go Hoosiers.
This is Archie Griffin, 1974, 1975's Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the official Heisman podcast.
We're here with Neil Everett, former ESPN anchor, current legend,
There you go. Okay.
friend of the Heisman.
I like that. I like that. That's nice.
You introduced the finalists on Friday night.
Yeah.
And you're going to be at the Heisman Legends brunch.
Yeah. We're doing some introductions and some fun with the children that are in attendance.
Yeah.
A little trivia, give away some prizes.
Thoughts on the what was a very energetic ceremony last night?
Yeah, that was I mean, that kid is Fernando I want to say it. I've been waiting to say it. Flippin' Fernando Mendoza. I've just been waiting to say that. I mean, he's he makes you re-examine your own self and go like, wow.
Yeah.
I might need to work on my game a little bit. If a young man that age is so buttoned up and just really I don't know him, and I don't know him well.
Yeah.
Just I know what you folks out there have seen, but we saw him win the Big 18 championship game, and then we saw him win the Heisman Trophy, and just his relationship with his mom just put a lump in my throat.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a great representative for Heisman. He seems to embody everything that Heisman looks to embody.
He seems really authentic and comfortable in his own skin, and I wonder, are people ready for that kind of thing? Because we, as to quote Jerry Maguire, we live in a cynical world, and I think people might be prone to be like, "Hey, that's corny," or "Who really believes that stuff?" But he seems like he really believes the stuff he believes in.
Well, and that's the cynic in all of us. But you hope you look at the Danny Werfels and the Tim Tebows, the Marcus Mariotas of the world, and realize, no, these guys are really good guys. There are, and that's not like anybody I named isn't, but there are true guys out there, and he appears to be one of them. And the thing about this gig is you end up meeting guys like Fernando Mendoza who beat the hell. I went to Oregon, he beat the hell out of us. So by law, I'm not supposed to like him. And but you end up meeting these kids and are adults, and you're like, you know what, I'm rooting for them from now on. And he's one of those guys.
I was going to ask you about that game up in Autzen, which is it's not easy to win in Autzen.
Yeah.
And it's like he has proven himself along with his team every step of the way. There's this reticence to fully buy in
to programs like Indiana and Vanderbilt until they hit a few markers, and they won in Autzen,
Yeah.
and they beat Ohio State, and they avoided the letdown upsets against Penn States and Iowa,
Yeah.
and got through with flying colors. When you're watching that game against Oregon, what was your takeaway after watching Fernando play?
I underestimated Indiana, that's for sure. And then they the score wasn't indicative of how they beat up Oregon. And they're good. And that coach is, he's got a little he's an old school guy, he doesn't want the pats on the back or whatever. And you mentioned the Vanderbilt coach too. I mean, there's another guy that's like, wow, this guy is solid. And it's funny, you bring a guy in, a program that hasn't been on the up, so to speak, and they're able to flip a switch. And same kids a lot of the time, just changing the environment. It's like you see a quarterback in the NFL go from what you see Daniel Jones does nothing with the Giants, then prior to the injury lights it up with Indianapolis. What's the difference? Well, it's got to be the people around him and the surroundings. So no, good. I became a fan of Mendoza's. Now I'm not going to be that fan of Indiana's if they end up playing Oregon again. But we'll see. Oregon's got some work to do before that.
It's funny on the Heisman weekend. I've typically noticed that players come and they're usually, most of them are pretty unpolished. And then by the end of the weekend, they go through the gauntlet. It's almost like the repetitions. By the end, by the time they get to the ceremony, they've got a little shine to them, and they've been through it enough. They have their stump speech down in a sense. They know where to hit the points. But Fernando came in; he was already well prepared, didn't have to do it. It seems to me like his future as a communicator is pretty bright. Is this the kind of guy, when his playing career is over, you can see him going into any number of these fields? What do you think? What do you think he?
Well, you know what it was, and I mentioned earlier, he's Tebow-esque. Just you can't help but root for him. You can't help but expect that good things are going to happen to him, and he's going to make good things happen around him. So he, this guy, he went to Cal. Somebody told me he missed one question on the SAT. I misspelled my name on the SAT. So
tough name. Is it 2 R's, 2 T's?
Right? Yeah. No, it was Neil. I screwed Neil up. I went NEAL. I had a brain fart. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an NEIL. Come on. Neil Diamond, Neil Armstrong, not NEAL. Yeah, I just, listen, the world is his. You tell the young people dream big. He's well on his way.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of this weekend?
Oh, God, it's just
like, what do you wish people knew about this weekend? Like, because it's a little kind of a scene up here, but it's cloistered.
You know what it is? It's that the Heisman dudes are really good dudes. There's not a one of them is standoffish. They'll josh with you. There's the reverence for the older guys. I see Jim Plunkett, and I just want to put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just the guy, these guys, it's the most exclusive club. We talked about this before. It's just like these guys are one of one, all of them, when it comes to the Heisman. So the most special part to me is that I get to live in their airspace for a few days, and introduce them and have a drink with them and rub shoulders with them. And because I'm 63, I'm still a fan.
I'm still kind of scared of a few of them. I don't want to mess with them too much. Anyway, Neil Everett, thanks for being on the Heisman Trophy podcast. You've been on before. Thanks for being a friend, not only of the show, but of the Heisman. Have a great time at the Heisman Legends brunch today.
It's snowing. We're all going to go out and make snow angels.
I love it. Probably Fernando will be the first one to go out, too.
Yeah, he will be.
He would live in the moment.
This will be perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The Heisman Trophy Trust is proud to help support Beat the Streets New York City. It's on a mission to develop the full human and athletic potential of the city's youth through the sport of wrestling. Beat the Streets aims to make a lifelong impact through the lessons learned on the wrestling mat. Things like discipline, perseverance,
self-reliance, humility, and a strong work ethic. Since being founded in 2005, it has pioneered a movement that now includes 150 individual wrestling programs, a youth league, and the first ever girls high school league. Bob Seidel is the executive director of Beat the Streets. He previously spent 3 years as its director of programming. He comes to BTS with more than 15 years of coaching and teaching experience. Bob, welcome to the Heisman Trophy podcast.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on today.
Yeah, glad to have you. I guess I want to ask you right off the bat, why wrestling? What is unique about the sport that helps your organization to do its mission so well?
Sure. What's unique about wrestling, I think, there's a lot of different components. One, you take the mat each time by yourself. You take ownership of your wins. You take ownership of your losses. Wrestling is one of those sports where when you're victorious, it's great. It's probably one of the biggest highs. But when you lose, it's one of the lowest lows because it's just you out there. I think the sport of wrestling teaches you not only how to handle success, but also the resilience to handle losses. I think one of the things we do at Beat the Streets, one of the main skills is that skill of resilience and bouncing back from getting knocked down or suffering a loss. And we try and translate what we're teaching on the mat in terms of wrestling to kids' lives now and in the future. Because we all know that at some point in life, every one of us is going to be faced with some unforeseen loss. And hopefully the skills we teach at Beat the Streets will allow those students to cope with that loss and rebound and come back better than ever.
That makes a lot of sense. What's the origin story of Beat the Streets, New York City?
Sure. Beat the Streets was started almost 20 years ago. We have a solid base of people that have been loyal supporters and donors and advocates for Beat the Streets over the past 20 years. It started with a guy named Al Bevilacqua, a very famous Long Island wrestling coach and one of the pioneers of New York City wrestling. Al, along with some others like Bill Crum and Mike Novogratz, started BTS and really elevated it to where it is today.
Okay.
We've had so many people that have been a part of the program for 20 years, like Kira and Dave Berry, Rich Tavoso, and these people have literally seen Beat the Streets from its inception, which started at a very small level 20 years ago, to where it is today, as the Beat the Streets New York City is arguably the largest nonprofit of its kind in the country.
Wow, that's a tremendous growth for sure. You offer a variety of programs. There's the training center, there's the academy, there's the junior league, there's the public schools athletic league. What do these various programs have to offer, and what's the difference between all of those?
Sure. They each have their own level of impact. First off, with the academy, it's probably one of our most impactful programs because it does what I was speaking about before in terms of not only does it teach this world-class level wrestling, we have guest clinicians coming in that are Olympic gold medalists, NCAA D1 head coaches, NCAA All-Americans. But it couples that training with social emotional learning and life skills that will help these students achieve success in wrestling, but also in the classroom and whatever they're going to do in the future. The academy also does college and career planning, SAT prep, peer-to-peer tutoring. So all those things that lead to off-the-mat success is really what the academy is all about. And it focuses on our most engaged students, about 200 from all 5 boroughs throughout each year. The training center offers year-round training about 5 to 6 days a week from an Olympian, Joe Rao, who's our new head coach, where the kids can come in. We have tiered practices, and they get to work with Joe for free for an hour and a half session each practice. And then our middle school program is the only one of its kind in New York City. We run the entire middle school wrestling for New York City. It's about 25 teams and about 450 student athletes. We have do coaches education for every coach that we employ. They then run their teams through a season in the fall, which includes weekly practices, competitions, and an end of the year junior league championships for all of New York City, which will take place on December 14th this year. And then finally, one of our most valued partnerships is with the PSAL, which is the governing body of New York City athletics. We work with the PSAL on coaches education. We help funding different events. In fact, we're planning a trip to what's called Eastern States, a very competitive tournament in upstate New York next month, where we'll take the best of the best from the PSAL and have them compete against the best of the best from the Northeast. So
Okay.
it's been a long lasting, that's where it all started with the PSAL partnership. And that's where we are today.
Nice. You mentioned U.S. Olympian Joe Rao, who you brought in as a coach. Looks like the wrestling community has a deep connection to you guys. What kind of relationship is there with the broader sport, U.S. wrestling, as far as working together to build grassroots support for the sport?
Well, yes, we have a very good relationship with USA Wrestling. We partnered with them in recent years to host our annual event, which is Final X at the Prudential Center, where it is the final wrestle off for Team USA at the senior level, both men's and women's freestyle. USA Wrestling has been a great partner for us in every aspect of what we do. From holding events, when we did events throughout our history in Times Square, on the Intrepid, Grand Central Station, to Final X, they've been with us every step of the way. So Rich Bender and Pete Isaias have just been great advocates for Beat the Streets.
When you hire coaches or mentors, what matters more to you? Is it their wrestling background, or is it their ability to connect with a kid who might be dealing with some heavy stuff?
It's a great question. As someone who's coached basically my entire professional life, a background in wrestling is important, but what we look for in our coaches is more that deeper meaning of why they're there. This is I actually had this conversation with our head coach, Joe Rao, the other day, and yes, Joe's an Olympian. He was a former college coach. He was a national champion. But the real reason we hired Joe is when speaking with him, you knew his heart was aligned with our mission. He wanted to go in to New York City and interact with these kids from all 5 boroughs that may not have the best background coming in and make a difference in their lives. And that's what we're really all about. It's definitely more than just the wrestling resume. It's you have to be a special kind of person to dedicate your life to coaching and helping the kids in all aspects of their life and making a difference. And I think that's really what we look for in our coaches.
Got it. Wrestling's a pretty old school sport. How have you had to modernize or change your approach to meet kids where they are today?
Yeah, it's definitely, it is an old school sport. I think not using a cookie cutter mentality or training method when dealing with students today is probably the biggest adjustment I try and tell young coaches as they're progressing through coaching at the high school level. I think treating each individual kid with an individualized plan and realizing what their goals are. Every kid that comes to Beat the Streets doesn't have the same goal. We have kids that want to be national champions, want to wrestle D1, go to an Ivy League school. And we have kids that are literally doing wrestling for the first time. And it may be an escape from whatever is going on at home. It may be a way to make friends and socialize. So we try and use a non-cookie cutter approach for every student that walks through the door. And I think that's the flexibility in coaching and teaching and mentoring that has shifted over the years.
Yeah, it seems like you get these kids at really key points in their lives. Do you have any examples of someone whose life genuinely took a different turn because they found this program?
Absolutely. There's thousands of examples just in the 4 years I've been here. Beat the Streets has impacted so many individuals in so many ways. One that comes to mind is a young man who I met when I first took over at Beat the Streets. He came from a relatively rough background in the Bronx, whether it was the crowd he was hanging out with, family issues, and he really dedicated himself to beat the streets in the sport of wrestling. I watched the young man grow from a freshman all the way through his senior year, and Beat the Streets helped him not only with wrestling instruction and education, we also helped him to further his education by going to some very good prep schools in both New Jersey and New York throughout his career. This young man today is attending a D1 university where he's on the wrestling team, and he is doing fantastic academically. I get weekly updates from him still as he's in college. And for me, I think that's one of the best things about Beat the Streets is that we get to watch these kids progress from where they start to where they get to in the end of their high school career, their college career, and their professional career. So
That's pretty awesome. You mentioned the Bronx. You know, there's so many neighborhoods in New York, and they're wildly different from one another. How much does the city itself shape the kind of work you do?
I mean, the city it's great. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I didn't grow up in the city. I obviously went there a lot, just visiting, but I think the city shapes everything about Beat the Streets. We have such a range, as you said, of students that are coming in to the wrestling room, and it's just creates this energy and this diversified community where these kids from all different backgrounds, all different socioeconomic levels, they're coming in there and they are all united by one thing, and that's getting better at wrestling. So for me, I think that's the character of our program. It's sharing backgrounds, bringing people together for one common goal, which is to improve on the mat, to improve in the classroom, and to improve in whatever their future endeavors might be.
You guys launched a girls program. Seems like it's doing well. What surprised you the most when you launched it, and how would you assess it since it's been launched?
Sure. We Beat the Streets. New York City was one of the pioneers of girls wrestling. Again, supporters like Kira Berry were a major advocate for the growth of women's wrestling. And I think for us, we've kind of addressed how fast women's wrestling is growing in the country and really focused on making sure that our girls have the best opportunity to succeed. We brought in a former Princeton wrestler, Chloe Ayers, to help out on our staff. She comes in and runs a girls only practices throughout the entire year. And we also, again, with Joe, we have a large number of girls that are attending our practices regularly. So I think it's been very successful. I think New York City moving forward, our goal is to have it be a hotbed for girls wrestling in New York State. And we're really pushing that.
Wrestling's considered one of the martial arts. How much has the growth of mixed martial arts in general helped you guys, and as far as visibility and interest from the youth?
I think it's definitely helped. I've just being a high school coach in New Jersey, Maryland, and Hawaii, watching the growth of the UFC and other MMA organizations has really kind of popularized wrestling, because in a lot of these competitions, you're seeing the wrestlers succeed. As a Jersey Shore guy, we've got to watch Frankie Edgar go on and win world championships. So I think that just builds a whole new generation of people that want to get involved in the sport. The UFC has been great advocates for Beat the Streets. And we have one of our board members, Megan O'Leary, who's an announcer for the UFC, has been super supportive and helped out just raising awareness about our mission. And yeah, I think they grow the sport tremendously.
You're pretty early in your tenure as executive director. What kind of vision do you have for the future of Beat the Streets?
Well, I have been with the organization, although I just started as executive director. And over the past 3 years, we've tripled in size in terms of the number of kids we're having at our practices, our academy size. So my goal is to keep moving on that upward trajectory, but also making sure we're keeping our impact at a high level. I'd like to expand Beat the Streets further into the 5 boroughs for kids who might not have access to our training center on a daily basis. We've already started doing satellite practices to far out places like Staten Island or far out places in Brooklyn or Queens.
Yeah.
So I think expanding the size and scope of Beat the Streets and really making it a model for sports-based youth programs throughout the country and even the world.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about growing the way you've grown without losing that personal, gritty heart of what you guys started as?
Yes, I think the one biggest thing and that you have to focus on when we're growing so fast is to make sure that the quality and the goals stay very direct when you're in that room and you're working with the kids. And we have this talk with our kids, with our coaches. It's great to grow, but you want to grow in a measured way where that impact and the lessons we're teaching those kids and the skills we're teaching those kids are still the same shared goals that we've had from the beginning. And again, we don't want to grow too fast so it gets watered down. We want to make sure everything is direct and we're making that impact and creating lifelong winners.
If you can wave a magic wand and have something, in your facility or as far as program wise, what would it be? Like, what would be the one thing that you would add to your operation that would really help you guys?
I think for us right now, we're at a pivotal point in BTS because of that rapid growth over the last 3 years. I think right now we're focusing on adding to the infrastructure. We want to add some more coaches so we can go out and expand more and more into the 5 boroughs and reach more kids. But I think, to be quite honest, if I would wave a magic wand 3 years ago, it would have been for us to have a standalone facility in the center of Manhattan. And due to the support of all our donors, as well as some very specific board members, we were able to achieve that. And that's made a world of difference for us. So, yeah, I think now it's just building and kind of addressing the growing pains. I know I've seen it in your other podcast. There's always that nonprofit issue of the fundraising aspect and being able to keep the expansion with the fund development going the same way. So I think that's it for us, just being able to address the growing pains of expanding our impact.
Yeah. Well, before we go, let our listeners know how they can get involved with or support Beat the Streets financially, or or donate things. Like what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes, we have lots of ways to get involved with Beat the Streets. If you're around New York City and you have a wrestling background, we love to have volunteer coaches come in. We also have a career day for professionals to come in and speak to our students about their own career path and how our students can kind of approach their decisions as they move forward in the world. And I think in terms of supporting us financially, we are in the middle of our end of year fundraising campaign right now. Every dollar we get goes directly to these programs that we talked about for the kids and trying to make a difference. If you can support us in some way financially, please go to btsny.org/donate. Again, every dollar counts, and you could really make a difference in one of these student athletes' lives.
Well, that is great to hear that you guys are doing so well. This is an amazing program. All you listeners out there, be sure to check it out at btsny.org, right?
Yes.
Okay. Get out there and support this great organization that the Heisman Trophy Trust also supports. Bob Seidel, Executive Director, thanks again for coming on the show. The Heisman Trust is excited to be a part of what you guys do. We wish you and your organization the best of luck moving forward, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you to the Heisman Trust for all their support. They have been great for Beat the Streets and its mission. Happy holidays to you as well.
Hey guys, this is Barry Sanders, the 1988 Heisman Trophy winner, and you are listening to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
That was the great Barry Sanders you just heard. My favorite stat about him is that he's the only player in the history of college football to return the first kickoff of the season back for a touchdown 2 seasons in a row. He returned the first kickoff of the 1987 season back for a touchdown, and then he returned the first kickoff of the 1988 season all the way back for a touchdown. And if you go listen to our opening theme song of the podcast, you can hear in the background the Oklahoma State radio announcer making the call of the second touchdown and saying afterwards, just like last year. Well, I hope just like last year you enjoyed this season of the Heisman Trophy podcast. I hope we returned the kickoff for you when you needed it. And I hope you come back next season to listen again. I think, however, we might have some more off-season content. If you are interested in that kind of thing, I hope you come back. So be sure to like, subscribe, review, tell your family, tell a friend. We'd appreciate it. And of course, if you prefer the moving pictures, you can go over to our YouTube channel and see all kinds of great video content. Or if you like, shorter form content, go over to our TikTok channel and see all kinds of great video content and clips there as well. It's probably going to be a big year for the Heisman Trophy in 2026, so be sure to stick around and we'll give you the latest on what's going on in the Heisman world. I'd like to wish everyone out there a happy and healthy holidays and a very prosperous new year. See you soon. The Heisman Trophy podcast streams every Wednesday during the college football season and is hosted, produced, edited, and engineered by Chris Houston. The pod is available on all streaming networks, including Spotify and Apple Music, and features video interviews and bonus content on YouTube and TikTok. We also have a Reddit community. Special shout out to Isaac Lowenkron, and big thanks to Rob Whalen, Tim Henning, and the Heisman Trust for their support. Reach out to us via email at pod@heisman.com for feedback and commentary.